In the US, the acting head of Homeland Security has refused to rule out sending federal forces to resolve violent protests in Portland, Oregon. Last night, a man was shot dead there during confrontations between Black Lives Matter protesters and supporters of President Trump. The city has become a focus for demonstrations against police brutality and racism since the police killing of African-American George Floyd in Minneapolis in May triggered a wave of national and international outrage. Nick Bryant's report contains some distressing images.
America in the run-up to the 2020 election, a deeply divided country that often seems to be tearing itself apart. The latest fault line, Portland, Oregon, the scene for the past 3 months of protests against racism and police brutality. Tensions rose further after the supporters of Donald Trump formed a convoy of some 600 vehicles and then drove through the Portland downtown. Some fired paintballs and pepper spray at Black Lives Matter protesters who tried to prevent the caravan from entering the city. The fatal shooting came amid clashes between Trump supporters and protesters. Gunfire rang out and a man died after being shot in the chest. It's being reported that he was wearing a cap with the insignia of Patriot Prayer, a far-right group that's clashed with anti-racism protesters.
Y'all just shot him for no reason.
This has been one of the most volatile and violent weeks of the Black Lives Matter summer, sparked by the police shooting of an African-American, Jacob Blake, in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Then on Wednesday night, 2 people were killed in the city after a 17-year-old who claimed to be guarding buildings allegedly opened fire on protesters. Kyle Rittenhouse has now been charged with murder. Donald Trump has not yet condemned Kyle Rittenhouse, who's believed to be a Trump supporter, and on Friday, before the latest shooting, railed against Black Lives Matter protesters at a campaign rally in New Hampshire.
Protesters, you know what I say? Protesters, your ass. They're not protesters. Those aren't those are anarchists, they're agitators, they're rioters, they're looters.
Donald Trump is portraying himself as a law and order president and sees a political opening, a comeback in the polls, fueled by scenes of civil unrest. Nick Bryant, BBC News, New York.